The door creaked open, and I stepped into the darkened hall, only to hear laughter that didn't belong. Not the kind you expect before your birthday party, not the sound of friends setting up streamers or lighting candles. No, this was intimate, close, and coming from the living room. My hands were still full, holding the damn cake I'd picked up myself because she forgot to when I saw it. Her legs were wrapped around Jason's waist like he was oxygen. My wife, my freaking wife, in the middle of our living room, moaning into his neck while wearing the dress I bought her last Christmas. The cake hit the floor before I did. I didn't scream. I didn't lunge. I just stood there, every bone in my body locking up, brain trying to make sense of a scene it should never have witnessed. The kind of moment you'd expect to see in some trashy drama, not your own damn house. That's when she saw me. Her head jerked up like a shot deer, mascara smudged, lips swollen, eyes wide. Bill. WH, what are you doing here? What am I doing here? My jaw clenched so tight I thought my molars would crack. I'd left work early to surprise her. I thought, hell, maybe I'd help her with the final touches of the party she said she was throwing. A big one, she'd said. You won't forget this one, she'd smiled. Oh, she was right about that. Jason jumped back like a scared little kid, nearly tripping over the coffee table, buttoning his shirt, like that would somehow change anything. My wife, Lindsay, didn't even bother pulling her dress back down. She just stood there, frozen, eyes flicking between me and the door, like she was trying to calculate the fastest way to escape. From me, her husband. But I didn't move. Not yet. I calmly set my phone on the counter beside me and tapped the screen. The small blue light blinked on. What the hell is that? She said, stepping forward. Just a little something I brought with me, I said, voice colder than I'd ever heard it come out of my own throat. Figured if you're gonna throw a surprise party, might as well make it memorable. Her face dropped. She didn't know I'd been live-streaming the moment I walked through the door. My phone had been in my shirt pocket, camera peeking out just enough. Every second, every moan, every whispered name, every thrust, broadcast to a private group of our closest friends and family. The same one she invited to the party. Now they knew the truth. She started towards me, hands up. Bill, listen, it's not what it looks like. I was planning something for you, I swear. This just Jason. He came over to help with decorations. I laughed. God help me, I laughed right in her face. With what? Your bra straps? Jason tried to speak, but ended up mumbling something about it being a mistake, and how it just happened. I didn't even glance at him. He was dead to me the moment I walked in. My eyes were locked on Lindsay, trying to find even a flicker of guilt, of shame, something star. But there was nothing. Just fear. Not of losing me, but of being seen for what she really was. That's when I noticed something. No decorations. No balloons. No food. No chairs arranged. No drinks laid out. No sign of a party. Not even a guest list on the counter. The party wasn't tonight. The party wasn't ever for me. It was for him. That realization hit harder than the betrayal itself. She wasn't even going to wait until after. I was never part of the plan. Suddenly, everything in the past month made sense. The party planning stress, the secret calls to caterers, the new lingerie I wasn't allowed to see, the gym visits, the manicured nails she claimed were for a professional look at work. She was never planning a party. She was planning an alibi. I should have known the moment she smiled too sweetly. I should have known when she said, "Don't come home early tomorrow." But I did. And I saw. And now? So did everyone else. She stood there, blinking like a deer in headlights, still clinging to the last scraps of whatever fantasy she thought she was living in. But the party was over. The lights were on. And her mask was slipping with every second that ticked by. Bill, please, can we just talk? She said, voice cracking like she was the victim here. Let's not make this bigger than it has to be. My fingers twitched. I hadn't spoken yet, not really. I'd said one line, just enough to let her know the game was up. But now I was silent, watching her unravel. That silence hit her harder than any scream would have. She started pacing, rambling, flinging excuses at the wall like spaghetti, hoping one would stick. I didn't mean for this to happen. Jason came over with wine, and we were just talking, and you know how things can get out of hand, and you've been distant lately, and what? I finally said, and I drove you into his arms? Is that what you're about to say? She froze. Jason shifted behind her, clearly wishing he could melt into the damn carpet. You said you were planning a surprise for me, I continued. My voice was calm. Too calm. You said I deserved a celebration. You smiled while saying it. You kissed me while saying it. I stepped forward. She stepped back. I trusted you, I said. Even when things didn't feel right. I gave you the benefit of the doubt. You said you were out shopping for centerpieces. Turns out you were out spreading your legs. Her jaw dropped, but I wasn't done. You said I was imagining things. Gaslit me for weeks. You made me feel like a paranoid lunatic while you were planning your little matinee shows on our couch. She blinked, face tightening into something uglier. You don't know the whole story. Then enlighten me, I said, folding my arms. Tell me how this is anything but betrayal. Jason tried to pipe up again. Bill, man, we didn't mean for you to find out this way, and I cut him a glance so sharp he shut up mid-sentence. Didn't mean for me to find out? I repeated. You were in my house with my wife on my couch. What? Were you hoping I'd catch you? Some sick thrill. Lindsay's arms dropped to her sides. Her face hardened, eyes narrowing like the real version of her was finally stepping forward. You know what, Bill? You were never around. Always working, always tired. You stopped being fun years ago. You were just there. Like furniture. It was like a punch I didn't see coming. That's what I was to you? I said, my voice low now. Furniture. She didn't flinch. She just kept going, the venom pouring out now. You think a few birthday cakes and awkward back rubs made you a good husband? You think I was happy? You think I felt loved? Jason shifted uncomfortably, now looking like he wanted to vanish entirely. But Lindsay, she was in it now. Her claws were out. She gestured toward the room. This was supposed to be our escape. Jason actually listens to me. He actually touches me without it feeling like a chore. I didn't mean to hurt you, Bill, but damn, maybe if you tried a little harder. I laughed again. A dry, bitter sound that echoed off the walls. So I guess I should be thanking you, I said, for teaching me what happens when you ignore red flags and believe a woman who lies straight through her teeth while wearing your ring. I pulled out my phone again, flipped the screen around. She gasped. She didn't know the live stream had a comment section. There they were, flooding in dozens of them. WTF? Is this real? That's his wife. She's been playing him like a fool. I'm watching this at work with my jaw on the floor. She's not even sorry. This guy's a legend for staying calm. Divorce her now. Lindsay's face turned ghost white. You streamed this, she whispered. I leaned in, close enough for her to smell the betrayal burning off me like smoke. No, Lindsay, I whispered. You did. And then I walked out the door, leaving behind the wreckage. I could hear her start to scream behind me. Could hear Jason trip over the end table trying to follow. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. I'd already seen enough. I didn't go home that night. I didn't go to a bar, didn't call a friend, didn't even drive. I just sat in my car in the dark, parked 2 blocks down, engine off, silence loud enough to feel. My phone buzzed every 10 seconds, calls from Lindsay, then texts, then voicemails. The same cycle, over and over. Apologies, begging, gaslighting, threats, confusion. Like she was tossing darts in the dark, hoping one would hit the old version of me. The Bill who'd bend. The Bill who'd listen. The Bill who gave a damn. That guy died tonight. I stared at my screen, reading the comments flooding in under the live stream recording. I hadn't planned for it to go that viral. I'd shared it to a private group. My brother, a few coworkers, some family. But someone must have clipped it. It was spreading. Strangers were DMing me. My inbox was packed with variations of, I don't know you, but I watched the stream, and I hope you burn that house down. There was one from my cousin in Utah. Dude, was that Lindsay with Jason? The Jason from high school? The one who used to hit on her while you two were dating? Yeah, that Jason. I'd forgotten all about those little jokes he used to make back then. You better watch your girl, man. Back then, it felt harmless. I'd even laughed along. God, I was blind. The next morning, I walked into my office like nothing happened. Coffee in hand, button-down shirt crisp, not a hair out of place. People stared. I knew they saw it. Some were too awkward to say anything. Some nodded like they didn't want to, but had to. Bill, my manager Mike caught me by the elevator. Heard about what happened. That was, intense. I smiled, flat and practiced. Still made it to work on time. He clapped me on the shoulder, unsure if that was okay. You need anything, man, just say the word. Appreciate it. When I finally sat at my desk, I opened my inbox and there it was, her email. Subject, please, talk to me. I clicked it. Bill. Please. I know you're angry. I don't blame you. But you can't just leave it like this. I didn't mean to hurt you. Jason and I. It was stupid. A moment of weakness. You don't understand how lonely I've been. Can we please talk before you make any decisions? I still love you. Lindsay. That last line? I still love you. Like it was a spell. Like it would rewind everything. I hit reply. Typed 3 words. Deleted them. Typed 5. Deleted those 2. Finally, I just stared at the blinking cursor, then closed the window. She didn't deserve a reply. I did check the home cameras, though. Yeah, I still had access. That night, after I walked out, she didn't cry. She didn't fall apart. She screamed at Jason. Threw things. Tried to blame him for not locking the door and not noticing my phone. Like that was the problem. Like the stream was the betrayal, not the hours she spent under my roof with another man. Then, around 2 a.m., she sat on the edge of our bed and stared into space. For nearly an hour. I watched her from my phone screen. Couldn't sleep. Couldn't stop watching. I don't know if she was thinking about what she did or what she lost. Either way, I didn't care. But what happened next, I wasn't ready for. The next day, my mom called. Now that surprised me. She doesn't call unless someone's dead or in the hospital. But this time, she sounded angry. You should have come to me first, she said. What? I saw the damn video, Bill. Why the hell didn't you call me? I was speechless for a second. You saw the stream? I saw it. So did your aunt. So did everyone from my bridge group. Christ, half the town probably saw it by now. I buried my face in my hand. That wasn't the plan. It was supposed to stay private. She was quiet. Then said, I'm proud of you. That floored me. I know you, son. You would have let her talk you out of it. You would have believed every tear. But not this time. I'm proud. I swallowed hard. It was the first time I felt something other than rage. Not sadness. Not hope. Just a quiet recognition. Like someone had reached inside my chest and reminded me who the hell I was before Lindsay started chiseling away at me. But then came the knock. Not a phone call. Not a message. An actual knock at my apartment door. Slow. Heavy. I opened it. And there she was. Standing in the hallway. Holding the same damn dress she wore when I caught her. Hair done. Eyes red. Lip trembling. I brought your gift, she whispered. I didn't even glance at the bag. She stepped forward. I need you to listen to me. Just 5 minutes. Please. 5 minutes. I said nothing. But I didn't close the door, either. And that was my mistake. She walked in like she still owned the place. Didn't wait for me to speak. Didn't even ask if I wanted her here. She just slid past me, delicate, practiced, like this was all some minor misunderstanding and not a full-scale betrayal broadcast to hundreds of people. Her heels clicked softly across the hardwood, like the sound of a clock counting down to something I couldn't yet see. She placed the gift bag on the table like it mattered. Like it meant anything. You said 5 minutes, I said, shutting the door behind her. You've got 4. She flinched at the tone, just a little. Good. She deserved to. She turned slowly to face me. I wanted to see you. Face to face. I know how it looked. I know it was awful. But, Bill, please, it wasn't what you think. I scoffed, loud and unfiltered. What I think? Lindsay, I saw it. The whole world saw it. No, you saw a moment, one mistake, taken out of context. Oh, I didn't realize there was a proper context for screwing another man on my couch. Stop, she snapped suddenly, eyes blazing. Stop acting like you're a victim in every way. You've been checked out of this marriage for years. There it was. The real her. Not the crying, soft-spoken version who showed up at my door, but the version that hid beneath the surface every time I missed a dinner, or forgot a date, or worked too late. The one that collected those things like weapons. I stayed quiet. I wanted her to talk. Wanted to see how deep this delusion went. You stopped seeing me, Bill, she said, voice trembling now, but it wasn't sadness, not really. It was frustration. You became this. Routine. Same clothes. Same conversations. You never touch me anymore. I felt invisible in my own house. You could have said something, I said. You could have opened your mouth like an adult instead of opening your legs for Jason. Her lip curled, and she looked away. You don't get it. Jason made me feel like I mattered. He listened. He looked at me like I was someone worth. Worth what? I snapped. Worth betraying your vows for? Worth humiliating your husband in front of his family, his friends? You think he's going to stay after this? You think he's some knight in shining armor? She said nothing. Let me guess. He's ghosted you already. Still nothing. I stepped closer. He didn't answer your texts last night, did he? Didn't show up today either. You thought he'd fall in love with you the second I left. That's why you're here now. Because when the fantasy popped and the real world came crashing in, you realized you had no one left. Bill. No. I'm done listening to you spin your garbage like it's worth something. You lit a match in our marriage, Lindsay. You burned it down. Now you want to stand in the ashes and hand me a birthday gift like it makes a damn difference. She reached into the bag suddenly and pulled out a small box. Silver wrapping, neat ribbon. She held it out like an olive branch. I bought this weeks ago, she said. Before everything. I swear. I took the box. Stared at it. Didn't open it. Instead, I walked past her, grabbed the front door, and swung it wide. You still have a minute left, I said. She didn't move. I made a mistake, she whispered. No, Lindsay, I said. A mistake is forgetting our anniversary. You made a choice. Tears welled in her eyes, but I didn't feel a thing. No sympathy. No spark of the man who once loved her. That man had been gutted clean the moment I walked into my own house and found her tangled with another man like I didn't exist. She walked out slowly, box still in my hand, her perfume hanging in the air like the scent of something that used to be sweet but had long since gone bad. I closed the door behind her, locked it, and for the first time in weeks, maybe months, I breathed. I set the box down, untouched. Later that night, I opened it out of curiosity. Inside was a watch. A nice one. Engraved. To my one constant. L? I laughed. Loud. Bitter. The kind of laugh you give when the final puzzle piece fits, and it shows you a picture you never wanted to see. Then I dropped it straight into the trash. 2 days passed. She didn't text again. Didn't call. Nothing. And honestly, that silence was louder than any excuse she could have offered. I half expected her to show up again, sobbing on the doorstep, playing the shattered wife act for anyone within earshot. But no, it was quiet. Too quiet. Which is why, on the morning of the third day, when I walked out of my building and saw her mother sitting in her car outside, engine running, window down, I stopped cold. Nancy. Freaking Nancy. I hadn't seen her in over a year. She and I never exactly clicked. Always had this ice-cold politeness between us. She thought I wasn't ambitious enough for Lindsay. I thought she was a manipulative, Botoxed hawk in pearls. Mutual understanding, I suppose. But there she was, aviator shades on, arms crossed, looking like she'd been sitting there a while. I didn't move. Just stared. She waved me over. Bill, she said as I approached, her voice flat. Get in. We need to talk. I nearly laughed. Do we? She reached over and popped the passenger door open. 5 minutes. God, they really love their 5-minute speeches, huh? I got in, mostly because I was curious. And because part of me wanted to know if Lindsay had already spun a new narrative. She had that gift, twisting facts into sympathy. I was the monster. She was neglected. Jason was just a friend caught in the storm of her unmet needs. Blah, blah, blah. But Nancy didn't look like she was here to take sides. I heard about the stream, she said plainly. Of course she did. You planning to sue me for defamation? I asked. She smirked dry. Please. You were shockingly restrained, all things considered. If it were my husband, I'd have put a steak knife through his thigh. I blinked. That was not what I expected. She sighed, took off her sunglasses, and finally turned to me. I didn't come here to defend Lindsay. I came to warn you. Now I really stared. Warn me. She's spiraling, she said. Worse than I've ever seen her. She's not eating. She's not working. She barely speaks. I thought maybe it was just guilt at first, but it's more than that. She's angry, Bill. At you. At Jason. At everyone. She should be angry at herself. Nancy nodded. Oh, she is. But she's rewriting it. That's what she does. She's building her story now. turning you into the villain in her mind, telling herself this whole thing happened to her, not because of her, that you embarrassed her, that you destroyed her life, that the live stream was psychological warfare. Jesus Christ, I muttered. She cheated. I exposed it. End of story. She doesn't see it that way anymore, Nancy said. And neither do some of her friends. That stopped me. She's reaching out to people, Bill. People you both knew. Telling them her version. That you were controlling. Emotionally cold. That the live stream was a calculated act of revenge. She's playing the long game. Building a support base. Not because she wants to fix things, but because she's scared of being left with nothing. I clenched my jaw. She's trying to flip the narrative. Nancy nodded. You know her better than anyone. What happens when Lindsay feels cornered? She claws, I said. Hard. Exactly. I let out a breath and stared through the windshield. I don't want her back, I said. Not even a little. I know, Nancy replied. But this isn't about reconciliation. It's about preparation. She's going to come at you sideways. Not screaming, not crying. She'll come with emails, accusations, subtle rumors, half-truths, emotional spin. She'll paint herself as the tragic figure and you as the heartless husband who broadcast her worst moment to the world. Be ready. Silence settled between us. And then, after a beat, she added, I'm not proud of how I raised her, but you deserved better than this. That actually hit me. Nancy reached into the glove box, pulled out an envelope, and handed it to me. This is from her. She asked me to give it to you. I held it for a moment. White. Unmarked. No handwriting. Just wait. She said it's everything she didn't get to say the night she came over. I didn't open it. Instead, I got out of the car and nodded once. Thanks for the warning. Nancy sighed. Watch your back, Bill. I went back upstairs and tossed the envelope on the kitchen table. It sat there all night. I didn't touch it. But the next morning, when I woke up, it was gone. I live alone. No roommates. No housekeeper. No one has a spare key. And yet, when I woke up that morning, groggy, half-blind without coffee, walked into the kitchen to grab a glass of water, the envelope was gone. I froze mid-step. The table was clean. Not blown away by a breeze, clean. Wiped down, intentionally cleared clean. Like someone had deliberately removed it. I stared at the empty spot for a long moment, my heart beginning to pound harder with every second. I checked the floor. Under the table. Trash can. Counters. Drawers. Nothing. Then I checked the front door. Locked, chain still on. Windows. Also locked. My chest tightened. I hadn't imagined the envelope. I hadn't dreamed the conversation with Nancy. I could still feel the weight of that thing in my hands. I could smell her perfume on it. So how the hell did it vanish? I stood in silence, staring at the table, heartbeat thudding in my ears. I didn't believe in ghosts. But I knew crazy. I've been married to it for nearly 8 years. I grabbed my phone. Checked the security cam notifications. There it was. Motion detected. 3:41 a.m., front door. I tapped it open, heart in my throat. And there she was. Lindsay. Hair down. Hoodie over her pajamas. Barefoot. Standing at my door. Eyes red. Holding her phone in one hand, other hand on the knob. She unlocked it. And walked in. No knocking. No announcement. Just walked right in like she still had the right. I'd forgotten. I never changed the locks. I watched the footage in horrified silence. She stood in the entryway for a second, like she was listening, then walked directly to the kitchen, picked up the envelope without opening it, and left. The whole thing took less than 40 seconds. She knew where I kept the spare key, knew I never got around to replacing the lock after she moved out 3 months ago, and she used that knowledge like it was still hers to use. I sat down slowly at the table, feeling like the air had been vacuumed out of the room. She still had access. She still thought she could. That this house, this space, was somehow still hers to enter, to control, to manipulate. A cold rage settled in my chest. I called the locksmith that morning. Told them I didn't care how much it cost. I wanted every damn lock replaced before noon. Then I drove straight to the precinct. Not to file charges. Yet. But I needed it documented. A written, time-stamped record that she had entered my home without permission. I showed them the footage. They made a report. Told me if it happened again, they'd pursue it seriously. But for now, it was a gray area. Because I hadn't explicitly revoked her access in writing. Because technically she hadn't stolen anything. Even though she did. She stole my words. That envelope had something in it, something she didn't want me to read. Or maybe something she wanted to use. Twist. Bury. Who the hell knows? But I'd seen that look in her eyes. The way she stood in the doorway. Frozen. Staring. She wasn't just taking it back. She was watching. Waiting. Planning. And now I had a new question gnawing at me. Why leave it at all, if she was going to come back for it? What was in that envelope that scared her enough to sneak into my apartment at 3:41 in the damn morning? I started to think maybe Nancy wasn't just warning me for show. Maybe she knew what her daughter was capable of and just how far Lindsay might go. And maybe I'd only seen the beginning. It happened the next night. Not a break-in. Not a confrontation. Something worse. I got a call from Human Resources. Now, I work for a financial firm. Private sector. High security, strict ethics policy. We don't play around with reputation, image, or internal disputes, especially when it involves any kind of potential harassment. So when I saw the HR director's number flash across my phone at 8:17 p.m., I knew something was off. Nobody calls you from HR at night unless the floor is already on fire. Bill, Marcia said, cool, corporate, polite. Do you have a few minutes to speak regarding a report that was submitted this afternoon? My mouth went dry. Sure, I said, already bracing. What kind of report? She cleared her throat. A concern was raised about potential emotional misconduct outside the workplace that may be affecting the professional environment. It involves a personal live stream that included intimate commentary regarding your spouse. Holy SHD asterisk. She was doing it. She was actually doing it. I closed my eyes and let out the smallest breath. Are you saying I'm being investigated for what happened in my own home? We're not initiating a formal investigation yet, Marcia said, carefully. We're simply gathering context. But this video has circulated. Some employees have viewed it during work hours. It's disrupting productivity and may create discomfort among staff, particularly those in sensitive roles. And the report? I asked, already knowing. It was submitted anonymously, but it contains detailed language accusing you of leveraging your personal conflict in a public forum with the intent to damage someone's mental health. There are implications of retaliatory behavior, Bill. Retaliation. That was the word she used. Lindsay was laying the groundwork. Just like Nancy warned. Not a public apology. Not a quiet breakdown. No, she was taking the nuclear route. She couldn't undo the damage from the stream, so she'd find another angle. Reframe it. Twist it. Turn me into the dangerous one. The vengeful one. She was trying to ruin me. Professionally. And she knew exactly where to strike. Marcia continued talking, asking if I had a statement. I told her I'd submit something in writing the next day. Polite. Controlled. Cold. Then I hung up and just sat there in my office, staring at the wall. My career was the one thing I had left untouched by her. And now? She was crawling into that too. I opened my laptop, pulled up the security cam backup, watched again, 3:41 a.m., Lindsay creeping into my apartment, taking back her letter. Not a single hesitation. I copied it, saved it, uploaded the footage to a secure cloud folder, created a timestamped archive with redundant backups. If she wanted war, fine. But she wasn't going to be the only one armed. Then I opened my journal. Yeah, I've been keeping one ever since the night I caught her. Not for therapy, not for healing, but for records, dates, times, screenshots, every call, every message, every move. I wasn't playing games. She wanted to drag my name through the mud? Let's dance. I texted Nancy one line. She reported me to HR. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. I didn't know she'd go that far, Nancy said, breathless. But I'm not surprised. She wants to burn my life down, I said. No, she wants you to react, to snap, to give her something she can hold up to the world and say, see, look what he did to me. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling. Then she's going to be disappointed. Nancy paused. Bill, she's unraveling. And cornered animals don't think. They just attack. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was afraid. Because I was preparing. This wasn't just about a marriage anymore. This was a full-blown war of reputation, perception, narrative. She thought she could twist the ending of our story. She had no idea. I wasn't even done writing it yet. The next morning, I arrived at work 2 hours early. Not because I couldn't sleep, though I didn't, but because I needed to control the story before she did. By 8, I had already printed and signed my written statement for HR. It included a full timeline of events, beginning with her admission that she was planning a surprise birthday party all the way through the live stream, the unauthorized entry into my apartment, and the retrieval of the envelope at 3:41 a.m. The footage was referenced with a shared private link, password protected. I kept it clinical. No profanity, no emotion. Just hard facts. Timestamped. Documented. That's what corporations respect. Evidence, not feelings. I turned it into Marcia myself. She scanned it silently, flipping pages with the cold detachment of someone trying not to form an opinion too early. I watched her eyes pause on the part about Lindsay entering my apartment without permission. She had a key? Marcia asked quietly. She used to have a key. I never gave her permission to enter after she moved out. Marcia nodded slowly. We'll review everything carefully. If what you've submitted holds up, this may be a different situation than how it was initially described. I nodded once. No need to oversell. Just let the truth sit in the room and grow. Then I left the office and took the rest of the day off. Because I had other business to handle. I went straight to my lawyer. Her name's Denise Carpenter. 40-something, direct as a scalpel, and exactly the kind of woman Lindsay would hate. I hired her 3 years ago to help my brother get custody during his divorce, and she ate his ex-wife's legal team alive. Denise was already waiting when I arrived. I've read the summary you emailed me, she said, flipping her glasses up. First off, smart move with the stream. Brutal, but legal. She didn't like that. I imagine not. But let's talk about the bigger picture. She tapped the folder in front of her. You're not divorced yet. She's trying to control the narrative before the paperwork even begins. She's not trying to get back with you. She's trying to build leverage. For sympathy. For money. For power. Yeah, I said. I'm starting to see that. She wants to come out of this with a victim badge pinned to her chest. The kind of badge that makes judges lean just a little in her direction. And I want to make sure she doesn't leave this process with anything she didn't earn. Denise smirked. Then let's move. I'll file the divorce petition first thing tomorrow. On grounds of infidelity and misconduct. We'll include an affidavit listing her unauthorized entry, the recorded live stream, everything. If she tries to countersue for emotional harm, it's a bad look. I exhaled. Finally, someone who wasn't afraid of her. Denise leaned in. Bill, I've seen people like your wife before. Smart. Calculating. But what they don't understand is that once they expose the real version of themselves, they don't get to go back. Then she pulled out a second folder. And, you're not going to like this, but I need to show you something. She slid it across the desk. Inside was a printed screenshot. Lindsay, in what looked like a private Facebook group. A women's support circle. The post was from the day after the live stream. He humiliated me in front of everyone I care about. I made one mistake, and he made it into a public execution. I'm scared. I'm being watched. I feel unsafe in my own city. I don't know if I'll ever feel like myself again. This is abuse. I stared at it for a full minute, stunned. Thousands of likes. Hundreds of comments. Women offering support, sympathy, outrage. Some talking about holding him accountable. One woman even asked if she needed a place to stay. She was rewriting the whole damn thing. And she was doing it well. Denise raised an eyebrow. You see now why we needed to strike first. I nodded slowly, jaw clenched. She doesn't want peace. She wants to win. Oh, she's not interested in winning, Denise said, calm as glass. She's interested in making sure you lose. Because that's what people like her do when they know they've lost control of the story. That night, I changed my number. Scrubbed my socials. Locked everything down tighter than Fort Knox. Because I wasn't just dealing with a cheating wife anymore. I was dealing with a professional victim. And she was just getting started. 2 days later, I woke up to find my name trending. Not in a good way. Not for something I did, but for what she said I did. It started on Reddit. Some anonymous account posted a long, emotionally manipulative thread in one of those giant relationship subs. No real names. No direct links. Just vague, safe, details twisted enough to protect her legally, but sharp enough to get the mob frothing. My husband humiliated me on my birthday by streaming a deeply personal mistake I made. Yes, I messed up, but what he did was pure revenge. Now I'm being harassed, stalked, and threatened. I'm afraid to leave my home. I can't sleep. I'm spiraling. Please, if anyone's been through something like this, I need advice. The thread exploded. 15,000 upvotes. Gold awards. Sympathy in tidal waves. And then came the comments. He's abusive. Leave him and sue. This is textbook narcissism. No one deserves that kind of public shame. Revenge porn isn't okay, no matter what she did. One of them even said, she cheated? Who cares? That doesn't justify public torture. I sat on my couch, the screen glowing blue in the morning light, my hands stone cold in my lap. My coffee went untouched. My appetite gone. She had weaponized the internet, turned strangers into soldiers, gave them no details, no receipts, just a sad little story with a tilted lens, and it worked. They were in the trenches for her, rallying, marching, messaging. My DMs started filling with threats. People found my LinkedIn, my brother's Facebook. One of them even emailed my company directly, accusing me of digitally abusing a mentally fragile woman. They had screenshots from the stream, clips I didn't share. Someone was feeding them. And then I realized. It was Jason. I found a side account on Twitter, brand new, posting pieces of the video out of context. Jason was in the frame in all of them, but cropped just enough to make it look like Lindsay was alone. Distressed, crying, vulnerable. The comments under his posts were full of rage. This guy's a monster. Why hasn't he been fired yet? Who streams a mental breakdown? That's pure evil. She had turned the guy she cheated with into her PR officer. And he was good at it. But I wasn't going to roll over. I called Denise. She answered on the first ring. Tell me you saw it. I said. I did. I've already screenshotted everything. Can we do anything? Oh, we're doing something, she said. We're going to file a cease and desist. Possibly a defamation suit. But more importantly, we go on offense. You're not just defending your name anymore, Bill. You're fighting for your life story. Because if she owns that, you lose everything. What does offense look like? Denise paused. We go public. With our version. I sat there, stunned. You want me to post something? No. I want you to show something. With evidence. With timelines. With footage. Controlled. Calm. Legal. You don't attack, because then you become what they say you are. But you respond, and you do it like a scalpel, not a hammer. I hung up. Thought for a long time. Then I sat down and drafted a post. No insults. No rage. Just screenshots. Dates. Security cam footage. The letter Lindsay left. Thankfully, she never knew I made a scan of it before she took it back. Footage of her entering my apartment uninvited at 3:41 a.m. The HR call. The anonymous Reddit post, with all the matching phrasing she used in her letter to me. Then side-by-side clips of her with Jason from the stream. And the Twitter version he'd posted with the frame cropped. I uploaded it all to a private blog. Password protected. Then I sent the link to one person. Nancy. I didn't say a word. Just sent her the title of the post. The truth she forgot to mention. 3 hours later, she called. Her voice was shaking. Bill? I didn't know how far this had gone. I thought she was just hurting. She's hurting her own reflection and blaming the mirror. Nancy was silent. Then, slowly, let me handle Jason. What? She thinks he's an ally. He's not. He's an opportunist. I introduced him to Lindsay years ago, and I regret it every single day. I'll deal with him. I didn't ask how. Didn't want to know. But that night, Jason deleted every one of his accounts. And Lindsay? She posted one last thing, a vague, teary note about taking time away from social media to heal. No apology, no retraction, just retreat. But I knew what it really meant. She'd lost control of the narrative, and I was just getting started. She showed up at my workplace. Not an email, not a call. She walked through the front doors like a woman who still believed she had power in places she'd already scorched to ash. It was lunchtime. The office was half empty, most people out grabbing sandwiches or hiding behind dual monitors with headphones on. I was at my desk, typing an update for Denise, when I heard the unmistakable sound of forced confidence in heels. I looked up, and there she was. Lindsay, wearing a beige blazer like it was armor, hair tied back so tight it looked like it hurt. Eyes scanning the floor like she was walking onto a courtroom stage. She found me and didn't hesitate. Walked right up, past the front desk, past Marcia from HR who had just stood up, startled. "I need 5 minutes," she said, barely above a whisper, fake smile glued to her face. I didn't stand. "You need to leave." "Bill," she hissed, still smiling, like this was a sitcom reunion. "Please." 5 minutes. I saw Marcia round the corner. "Miss Keller, you were informed not to come here. This is a workplace." "I just want to talk to my husband," Lindsay said, louder now, voice trembling as the eyes of 3 nearby coworkers flicked up. "Is that a crime now?" She turned to me, eyes glistening. "Bill, you've made your point. You've won. Can we just stop now? Please? I'm begging you. Stop the posts. Stop the links. People are calling me a predator. A thief. You're ruining my life." I stood slowly, keeping my voice low. "I'm revealing your life, Lindsay, not ruining it. You're destroying me." She snapped, and there it was, that flicker of venom under her mascara. "I made one mistake, and now you're parading me around like I'm some one." I cut in. "No. You lied for months. Gaslit me. Slept with another man under my roof. Then tried to frame me as abusive. That's not a mistake. That's a pattern." She blinked. And then tears. Fast, fake, weaponized. "I have nothing left, Bill." "No, Lindsay. You just finally don't have control." Security arrived. Marcia gestured. "We'll have to escort her out." Lindsay took a step back. Looked around. Saw the watching eyes. The judgment. She turned to me one last time, breathing hard, cheeks wet, mouth twitching like she wanted to scream, but didn't. "I never thought you'd be cruel," she whispered. "No," I said. "You just never thought I'd stop being weak." She was gone within a minute. And this time, she didn't come back. I didn't think I'd ever see Jason again. Not after Nancy gutted his online presence overnight, like she knew exactly where the softest tissue was. Not after the post vanished. Not after Lindsay retreated into silence. I assumed he'd skipped town or, at the very least, crawled back into whatever greasy hole he'd come from. But then, last Thursday, I opened the door to my building, and there he was, leaning against the brick wall like a damn parking lot philosopher, hands in his jacket, hood half up, like he thought anonymity still worked on me. Like I wouldn't recognize the face I'd watched moving between my wife's legs in my living room. I stopped walking. My blood didn't boil. It went cold. He looked up, sheepish. "Hey, Bill, can we talk?" I said nothing. He glanced around, like we were in danger of being overheard in the open air. "I didn't come here to fight. I need to explain." "You already did," I said flatly. "Every thrust, every groan. It's all on video." He flinched. "Good. I didn't know she was going to go nuclear, man," he muttered. "All that social media stuff? The HR thing? That wasn't me." "Really?" I said, because I saw the Twitter clips. Cropped just enough to make me look like a psycho and her look like a hostage. Who else would have cut it like that? Jason? Her hairstylist. His mouth opened, then closed. He looked at the ground. "She told me it was done," he said finally. "That your marriage was already dead. That you'd been sleeping in separate rooms for months. That she was just coasting, waiting for the right moment." I didn't respond. "She said you barely touched her anymore. That you'd become a shell. That you were cold, man." I believed her. "You believed what you wanted to believe." His head snapped up at that. "You were waiting for a crack to crawl through," I said, stepping closer. "She didn't have to push the door open. You were already turning the handle." He swallowed. And then, to my shock, he reached into his pocket, pulled out a flash drive. "What's that?" "I saved everything," he said quietly. "The original texts. The recordings. Even stuff she asked me to delete. Voice messages, clips, calls. She was planning this whole thing, Bill. Even before the couch. She wanted to get caught, but only in her version. She thought if she could control the story, she'd win." I stared at the drive like it was radioactive. "Why are you giving me this?" Jason looked hollow. "Because she turned on me, too." He looked down again. "Told people I manipulated her. Said I forced it. Now everyone thinks I'm a predator. My job's on the line. I can't show my face at the gym without whispers." He looked up, eyes bloodshot, but not from crying. Probably no sleep. No peace. I'm not trying to clear my name, he said. I deserve what I get. I just don't want her to drag you down while she sets the whole world on fire. I took the drive, not because I trusted him, but because I didn't trust her. Without another word, I walked inside, locked the door, loaded the drive. There it was. Voice memos of her whispering plans, telling Jason not to worry, saying I was easy to bait, too passive to fight, that if she could trigger just one public outburst, she'd own the sympathy forever. Clips of her rehearsing what she'd say in court, practicing the tears, laughing. There was even a screenshot of her sending herself anonymous emails. The same language from the HR complaint. She faked the entire harassment report. I sat there in my dark apartment, screen glowing, listening to my wife plan my destruction like it was a goddamn side hustle. I didn't cry, didn't scream. I smiled. Because now, finally, I had everything. And in 24 hours, she wouldn't. I waited until Sunday. I knew she'd be home. Nancy told me she hadn't left her apartment in over a week. Curtains drawn. Groceries delivered. A fortress of shame and delusion built with lies and Reddit sympathy. The world had stopped believing her. But she hadn't stopped performing. She still thought she could twist the knife before it slipped from her hands. But this time, she wouldn't even see the blade coming. I didn't knock. I didn't show up in person. At 11 a.m. sharp, I scheduled the email. The subject line was simple. Your words, not mine. Attached, a link to a cloud folder. Every file Jason gave me. Every deleted voice memo. Every cropped clip in full form. The raw video of her entering my home at 3:41 a.m. The side-by-side proof of her faking the harassment emails. And a single-page letter at the top. Lindsay, this is not revenge. This is record-keeping. You spent months building a fire to burn me with, and when it didn't work, you crawled into the ashes, pretending to be the victim. But I kept receipts. And now, so will the world. You can spin 1,000 stories. But the truth doesn't care how loud you scream. Bill. And then I published the folder. Not on social media. Not on some angry ranting forum. I sent it privately. To HR. To her therapist. Yes, I knew her name. To the moderators of the subreddit where she posted her story. To a legal contact at her firm. And to Nancy. No fire. No drama. Just a neat package of facts. By the afternoon, she was gone. Deleted her Facebook. Her Instagram. Her Reddit account. I got a message from Nancy around 4 p.m. She's staying at her sister's. She's been screaming for an hour. You broke her. But no, I didn't. I didn't break her. She did that to herself the second she decided to gamble with someone else's soul and assumed there'd be no consequences. I just turned the lights on. Divorce papers were finalized 2 weeks later. Denise made sure every clause was airtight. No spousal support. No settlement. Her affair, her public behavior, her falsified claims, they left her with nothing but her maiden name and a pile of unpaid legal fees. I signed the papers with a new pen. Didn't even flinch. She didn't show up to court. Didn't call. Didn't text. Didn't try to apologize again. Because by then, she knew. She had lost. Not just me. Not just the marriage. But the version of herself she had worked so hard to sell to everyone. The sweet, broken wife. The victim. The hero of her own soap opera. That mask shattered. And the face underneath? It wasn't pretty. So now? I sleep. Better than I have in years. No more locked doors at night. No more second-guessing every glance or every late text. No more pretending not to notice when the person you love starts looking through you like you're just drywall and a paycheck. To anyone reading this, anyone stuck in that same slow-burning nightmare. Document everything. Say nothing until you have proof. Then make the truth louder than their lies. And never, never, let someone convince you that silence is strength. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is speak.